The views expressed, opinions given, and any communication made between the hosts and guests of What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal Show do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Para-X Radio, EMC Network, or all services that play this show. The hosts and services are not responsible for the actions of their guests, and the original rights of all intellectual property is retained by the creator, and all work is used with either permission or Creative Commons license. The show is for entertainment purposes only. I'm horror author T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm horror author and filmmaker Phil Thomas.
And tonight we're asking you,
what are you afraid of? Philadelphia's horror home with hosts T. Fox Dunham and Phil Thomas.
Quality warning. This podcast often records in the field to gather the best in paranormal materia from witnesses. Often, we cannot control the quality of sound in this environment, such as you may hear distortions or perhaps the occasional moaning. But then again, we're not about control, are we?
Embrace the chaos.
Hey Phil.
Hey Fox, how you doing?
We're here at Selma.
Yes, we are.
Selma Paranormal. Table looks good.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, we're getting it.
Lots of cool books. Got PDK6 book.
PD Chris, and she often says, it's night prayers. It's not meant for minors.
Right, yeah.
It is erotic. It is pornographic. It is vampires. It is humor. I want to read this thing.
You want to read it, yeah.
She says, she keeps telling people, it's like, you don't want to read this, it's pornographic. It's like brilliant marketing.
It's like 50 Shades of Grey with vampires kind of
Yeah, I mean, and she thought of it first. P.D. Kasek. Bram Stoker award-winning author. I've been bugging her with that all day.
I know.
She's finally...
The last time he did it, she was like,
But we're up. We're kind of interviewing people here today in Selma and Norristown. Let's see. We're running into some cool people.
Here we are.
We're meeting a lot of people. We're getting some interviews down. Trish was hanging out with us. And there was an interesting table over there called, they are Paranormal Kicks Cancer 2018. They're an organization that's basically out to, get cancer by raising money and helping people. Sounds like one wish at a time. And we are here with the CEO, President, Executive Director, Volunteer Coordinator, Tax Guy, Business Organizer, Volunteer, Second Volunteer, Third Volunteer, Table Bringer, and General Personality. Oh.
You got a lot of titles there, yeah.
I lost them at the first one.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So did I. I'm making stuff up.
And he's excited.
I don't know how to end it, so I'm just going.
Yeah, well,
This is a great place, and he wants to keep going.
I do. But you are Chris.
Yes.
Okay, and your organization is called Paranormal Kicks Cancer. What do you do?
What do? We basically raise money for children with cancer. And we grant second wishes for them. We actually branched out just recently because we just went national about 3 months ago.
Okay.
We were with just Base Camp, Children's Cancer Foundation in Orlando. But there was a little twist last year. Basically, when this got started and I helped take it over, and then I LLC'd it and got it going, it's not just about me, but it needed structure, and there has to be someone to hold the reins and go forward. So I don't take all the credit. Anyone that wants to help or be a part of is welcome. But someone's name's got to be on the dotted line for all the paperwork. It's just how it's got to be.
A 501c3 is a federal nonprofit.
Right.
And you get a tax ID number.
The whole 9 yards.
Yeah. So what are some of the wishes you've granted?
Since I took it over in 2013, we've granted 2 service dogs, a trip to a college for, her name was Emma, and her mother let us know that after she went to the college, she was accepted to the college.
I love that story.
Another one, his name's Philippe. I can't give his last name.
That's fine.
He wrote his wish was all he wanted to do was go to St. Augustine with his family and spend the weekend. Simple wish.
Right.
So we go ahead. We told Terry at base camp, Terry Jones, who runs base camp, said we're going to go ahead and grant Felipe's wish. A friend of mine made calls, and we got him a weekend St. Augustine.
Okay.
So after we sent all the itinerary over, we get a call from Terry Jones saying, Chris, you need to read this email. And I'm like, oh, don't tell me, Felipe. Something went bad. He's in the hospital. Something happened. He can't go on the trip. She's like, no, it's nothing bad. Just read it. So I go read the email. And it says, I just want to go to St. Augustine and stay at the St. George Inn. We've never known this.
Okay.
Well, the trip to St. Augustine, the St. George Inn donated to him before we even knew this.
Oh, my.
Oh, wow.
So that shows you what's meant to be is meant to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So he ended up staying at the St. George Inn where he wanted to stay.
That's cool.
And we didn't even know it.
That's great.
So
That's
it's just
great.
how things fall into place.
That's true. Yeah, that's great.
So-
you guys are doing a lot of good things for people. That's great.
Very
We're
much so.
trying.
Definitely attracted my attention. Well, this is not just Kicks Cancer to the curb. This is paranormal.
That's right.
So that means you've got some interest in the paranormal.
Just a little bit.
Where'd this come from?
I'm probably going on about 18 years in the paranormal right now.
Okay.
Plus, basically when I was probably 12, 11, what got me started was we had to fly to New Jersey because I was born in New Jersey. Then moved down to Florida. My parents took me there when I was 3. So I basically been living in Florida my whole life. Now we're in Pennsylvania. We're right by New Jersey.
Yeah. Right.
So we flew to New Jersey from Florida because my grandmother had passed away. So we get there. We're all sleeping in the house and whatnot. It's time to go to bed. Of course, me being the youngest, no one wants to go upstairs, and everyone that's familiar with New Jersey knows they take the basements, turn them into bedrooms, and that's an extra bedroom in the house. It's not an attic; it's a bedroom.
Right.
So I go up. I go to bed. I'm by myself because no one else wanted to go up there. As soon as I got in bed, turned the lights off. I hear the rocking chair start rocking, and I hear female's voice faint because it was so long ago I can't remember what it was saying, but it was a soothing sound. It wasn't scary. And at that age, you're like, what the heck? So jump out of bed, turn the light on.
Right. Yeah.
I don't see nobody, but you see the rocking chair slowly stop.
Oh, wow.
Oh boy.
So it's like, okay, jump into bed again, turn it off. Rocking chair starts rocking again.
Oh, my.
And I hear it, and I'm guessing at that now that I think about it, it was probably more like a soothing sound, because this happened 3 nights in a row, and then it was the next morning we're down having breakfast, and one of my family members I hear behind me talking, I can't believe she died in her bed upstairs.
Okay.
So guess what bed I was sleeping in?
Oh no.
Upstairs is where she passed away.
Wow.
So how can people help support your cause?
They can follow us on our Facebook page, which is Paranormal Kicks Cancer .llc. And we try to keep everything we do, we try to keep it up to date as far as who's going on or what's going on, what speakers we're getting now, because we're starting to get ready for our September event. But back to what we were talking before, I just want to throw this in.
Sure.
So when they weren't sure where the money was going and everything, and then we went with Base Camp Children's Cancer Foundation for a couple of years, that's who we had. We went to a hospital and did a pizza party for children with cancer. This was 2012.
Okay.
And it brought tears to every one of our eyes to see the smiles we can put on these kids' faces because they know they're not alone.
Yeah.
They know there's someone there.
Right.
So that really meant a lot to me. So that's kind of when I switched gears and started taking it over. Then that's when, LLC'd it, the whole 9 yards. We kept it going. And then just that passion, that drive to put smiles on kids' faces. We're going national. We're not just going to be based out of Florida. We still work with Base Camp. Terry Jones and Base Camp Children's Cancer Foundation does awesome things. I'm not knocking them. I'm not saying anything negative about them at all. But we're stuck in Orlando. We're stuck in Florida.
Yeah.
If that's the only step we take.
Right.
So we then went and I made contact with the ACCO, which is the American Childhood Cancer Organization, which is one of the largest in the nation for childhood cancer awareness. And I think Base Camp is kind of affiliated with them in some way too. There's like 36 different, that's called Funding Hopes. And we're one of the Funding Hopes now. So now we are national. We can do events anywhere we want, help anyone we want. It's paranormalkickscancer.llc on Facebook.
Okay.
And we'll have links for that at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com over at the show, where you can also find a lot of ghost stories or previous episodes, photos, and expanded information.
I understand. Yeah, that's great.
Well, Chris, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very
Not a
much.
problem.
And again, you can find out, it looks like they've got an event going on, if this is broadcast by then, September 21st to 23rd, at the Old Fellsmore Schoolhouse and Marsh Landing Restaurant, 22 North Orange Street, Fellsmore, Florida.
Yes.
And
It's
again,
a 110-year-old schoolhouse and restaurant. You get to investigate them both. And it's $25 a person for the whole weekend.
we need to open a restaurant.
So do our
house.
and so do our to our listeners in Florida. Go check that out,
Go check
or anywhere really.
Yeah, you can check them out. And again, we'll have links for them up at the website at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com. Very cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rat, where are you going?
I'm going back to the paranormal view, back where I belong.
Please, take me with you.
No, I'm through with everything here. I want to see if there's something left in life I haven't explored. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Rat, don't run to them. They talk about ghosts and hauntings, UFOs, and all kind of supernatural scary stuff.
You'll never understand, will you, Scarlet?
No!
Well, that's your misfortune.
Rat, if you go, where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear. Line!
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
That's the Paranormal View with your host, Henry Foister, Jeffrey Gould, and Barbara Duncan. Every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the Para-X Radio Network.
What are you afraid of?
Hi, I'm Tim Wagner, Bram Stoker Award-winning author.
Hashtag Grave Girls. This is Katrina Weidman of Destination America's Paranormal Lockdown.
This is Jim Chambers. I'm the author of The Engines of Sacrifice.
This is Jasper Barr, award-winning author of The Final Cut.
And you're listening to What Are You Afraid Of?
What Are You Afraid Of?
To What Are You Afraid Of?
What are you afraid of?
Love it. Fantoxic, please. Fantoxic.
Are you haunted by shadow people in the middle of the night?
Do you secretly love all things creepy and spooky, enjoying ghost stories and horror fiction from the best storytellers?
Do you have a true ghost experience you want to share, but no one will believe you?
If yes, listen to the professionals on What Are You Afraid Of? Horror Paranormal Show Friday nights at 9 p.m. on Para-X Radio and at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com.
What are you afraid of on Para-X?
Our creepy and demented hosts are on call to provide you with all your spooky needs with true ghost stories, interviews, indie music, and new horror fiction. We are ready to scare you.
Para-X.
So we are back on day 2, Sunday, at Selma in Norristown. Here over at the mansion, it's a cloudy day. Looks like it could rain at any minute, so there's less activity, but it's a nice somber day. We're kind of hanging out. It's a beautiful environment, very relaxing. And it sounds like they had quite a night last night. They had a paranormal investigation going on. Allison and I took off. She's got a test, so we don't usually join in. We just like to talk to the people afterwards and get all the good stuff. That's, we're parajournalists, so we're kind of lazy, But we are back with Chris, and Chris we talked to him yesterday. He's paranormal with a purpose, They help a lot of sick people who need secondary wishes, who need some support. They raise money for that, and they're expanding their organization. You can find links for that at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com. Go give them some support. So, yeah, you were here last night.
Yes, we were here for the investigation.
Okay, so what time did it start?
A little after 9.
Okay. So it was about 9. By the way, we have people in the background, so remember, quality warning, we do live shows, so sorry, we'll do our best to edit out what we can. All right, so you were saying some crap happened to you last night.
Well, really didn't. It was really a cool situation. We ended up going down in the basement. There was 12 of us in the basement. And everyone was splitting up, doing their investigation stuff. And all of a sudden, people were seeing a shadow in the back right corner. Mm. And actually, there was 2 of them. And because I've been investigating a long time, I told the whole group, I said, if you're okay, because everyone paid to do the investigation, so it's not fair to just tell people what to do.
Right.
You got to be fair to them and say, do you guys mind if we try something? They said, yeah. I said, everyone come closer to me, because they were all trying to run towards it. Well, in a paranormal investigation, you don't want to run towards the spirits, because that means they're afraid. That means they might disappear. They'll just go away. I'm a firm believer of you stay where you're at and let them come to you. They slowly start warming up just like a human does. So everyone came closer, and then we were just talking. We've got a lot of hits on the Ovilus that we have, which generates words, and it was answering some of our questions. And then, so everyone came closer. It started coming closer. A couple people felt some cold spots. And then it started talking to us, about the war.
How did it talk to you?
Just through the Ovilus itself was generating words. We were asking questions, and, it would be like battle, or it would say tree. And the whole night it's talking about run. Run in the yard, or tree, go to the tree. And then it said apple a few times after it said tree. So we're thinking apple tree, we're thinking, and then it said, we're safe. I think it was safe. It was safe in the basement, it was being hidden in the basement. Mm-hmm. And we're like, well, the general was probably keeping you safe and during the war back then. A place to hide.
Right.
So I finally got to a point where it seemed like it only liked men. So we broke up the group. We sent just the females in that area, and the men left. And the females got no responses at all. None of them got any responses at all.
Well, and if it was a soldier, if it was used to having a male company.
Right, right. Or back then, the females didn't talk in the men's conversations. Yeah. They were separated. So then the females got nothing. So we went in and let the females leave. And then we started getting responses. It was responding to our messages or to our questions. And then out of nowhere, it said sit. And I don't know what happened before then, but it was saying sit. And I'm like, yes, I've been talking to you. You've been kind of warming up to me. It was kind of responding to me, mainly, kind of like he was like my best friend or something. Mm-hmm. And actually I say he, but I don't know if it was a male or female presence.
Right.
Still, I don't know. So it came over to me, or it came close, and I'm like, so sit. Yes, I'm sitting asking you questions. And then everyone was like, okay, let's take a break, because it seemed like it wasn't answering us. And usually, so we brought, not an EMF pump, I forgot what it was, but it's like an EMF pump. It generates EMF, so it can kind of recharge itself, the spirit. So we said, we're going to leave this down here, give you a break. We all left, and the last question I asked is when it said sit. I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting here asking you questions, and it said hug. I'm like, it's kind of weird, but okay, so you like me, I'm guessing? So it said hug. So I said, okay, we'll be back in a little bit. So everyone went up, we all took a break. It was just me and Paul. Paul from Bill's team.
Paul Dixon.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
From Bill's team. And so me and Paul were the only two, because we were men. We didn't want the females to go down. Everyone was getting ready to leave anyway and tired, but we had to go back. So, and we said we would. So we went downstairs. As soon as we went downstairs, the Ovilus itself said, kiss.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. I don't swing that way, but okay. Either way, you said hug before, then you said kiss.
Not before the money's on the table.
Right. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so do you like me? Do you like Paul? Oh, another reason, go back really quick. Mm-hmm. I brought Paul down because it named Paul in the session before.
Okay.
And Paul usually goes down there, and Paul helps take care of the Selma Mansion, and he's here a lot.
Yeah.
So everyone thought it was weird that it named Paul, because Paul's kind of quiet. You know, he's trying to come out of his shell and learn more. Mm-hmm. So it was just funny how it pinpointed Paul. So it was like, if I take Paul and it mentioned Paul, then maybe now it likes two of us, so it might open up to us. Mm-hmm. So that's why Paul came down.
See,
then, go ahead.
That's interesting how you look for ways to connect.
Exactly.
I like that, how you're not just walking around with an EMF meter and a camera.
You know how old you are? Are you dead? What year is it? No.
You're looking for ways to encourage, to bring them out of their shell or their grave. I like that a lot.
Exactly.
And you've got a, I guess we'll call this episode Paranormal Psychology.
Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah, Paranormal Psych. That's cool.
To some extent. Then it said kiss. It was like, cool, you know, and then Paul asked a few more questions, said, you know, I'm here a lot. Do you like me? Because that's why you named me. It really didn't say anything. Then it took a little pause, and then out of nowhere, because here we are thinking we're talking to some adult, it said, Mommy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, whoa. I'm thinking, and I look at Paul. Well, I didn't look. We're in the dark. Mm. Like, it's not like I gave him batted my eyes at him or anything. But I said, Paul, I think I'm on to what's going on here. He goes, what? I said, well, it said hug. It said kiss. Now it's saying mommy. Mm-hmm. Said, it's got to be a little child trying to find its mother.
Huh.
So from thinking adults, you know, in this field, you don't know what it is. That's why you have to go at it in different angles, ask the questions to figure it out.
Okay.
So, and as soon as it said mommy, I'm going to try to give a quick picture for your listeners. Mm-hmm. Where we were sitting, there's a doorway to the right, and in front of me, where the chair was, is just a straight hall, you know, just a straight room.
Okay.
Well, the doorway on the right is open. There's no door, and it leads to some more rooms. As soon as it said mommy, I looked to my right, and I seen a white kind of thick, like, person shape. Mm-hmm. Couldn't see a face.
Okay.
So I'm right here. So I don't know if it was male or female. Okay. Still don't know. And it was just like looked at us for a second. When Paul looked over, it was gone, and of course my camera was facing straight, not to the right.
Naturally.
So of course I don't have the evidence. I just know what I saw.
Ghosts don't pose.
Exactly. They are not circus animals. They do not perform on cue. And if you're in this field to think it's going to happen all the time, it's not. I've been doing it almost 19 years, and it's very rare. It's far and in between. But when you get that, that's why we do it.
Mercy, a new horror medical thriller from author T. Fox Dunham, published by Bloodbound Books. Based on the author's horrific battle with a rare form of lymphoma that involved intense chemotherapy and radiation, Fox turns the horror of his experience into terror on the page.
William Sane is dying of cancer. On most days, death seems like a humane alternative to the treatment. Stricken with fever, William is rushed to Mercy, notorious as a place to send the sickest of the poor and uninsured to be forgotten, and finds the hospital in even worse condition than his previous visit.
Willie's memories faded. He grabbed his sack head of the scarecrow, picking at the exposed chicken wire to hold them in. However, the memories fell out of the holes in his face. They wormed and crawled from the leather flesh from the old clothing of the scarecrow, then squirmed and wiggled down his body.
The grounds are unkempt, the foundation is cracking, and like the wild mushrooms sprouting from the fissures of decay around it, something is growing inside the hospital. Something dark.
Fangoria gives Mercy 3.5 out of 4 skulls. Dunham has channeled his many brushes with the other side into the exquisitely rendered, lyrical, supernatural hospital thriller Mercy.
It's feeding on the sickness and sustaining itself on the staff, changing them, and now it wants Willie.
Come now, Mr. Saint. Just a little more of that sweet milk. So salty and so good. You won't miss it. And we ever do so like our delicacies here at Mercy Hospital.
Part medical horror, part supernatural suspense, Mercy is a hard-hitting fever dream of a novel. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Tim Wagner, author of The Way of All Flesh and Eat the Night. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bookstores everywhere in both print and digital versions.
Life is an addiction.
Let go. Let it all burn.
Caliburn Press, LLC is a Madison, Wisconsin-based publishing company owned and operated by Alan Ledden. Caliburn works with talented writers, artists, editors, and marketers throughout the United States, and you can find their books through their many imprints that include Damnation Books, Eternal Press, Malaferia Press, Ciento Sordida Publishing, and Spiro Publishing. Please visit their website at sites.google.com/site/Caliburn Press LLC/home or Google Caliburn Press to check out their growing list of titles on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and any other place fine books are sold.
I'm Jenna Valadez with The Basement Files. Tune in Friday nights, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Para-X Radio Network.
In the future, roving bands of comic book podcasts will savage the wasteland, once known as the Internet. One podcast, the Grawlix Podcast, may not be the biggest, may not be the funniest, may not be the most well-spoken. Wait, what was my point again? Oh yes, the Grawlix Podcast. Listen to it at grawlixpodcast.com. That's GRAWLIX podcast.com.
What happens to a ghost when their home is torn down? No one thinks of the disembodied when they rip down old buildings, dig up cemeteries, and build clean, unhauntable condos. Every year, hundreds of spirits are driven out of their own haunts by the careless living to exist alone with no one to scare. At Para-X Radio, our hosts feel the plight of these evicted disembodied, and we're reaching out to you to please open your heart to one of these lost souls, such as the ghost soldier of the General Wayne Inn or the abandoned spirit cat of Benjamin Rush. So please, please, let a little spooky into your life. Won't you open your house to a ghost without a home?
Para-X. Television paranormal investigations are very different and fictionalized and dramatized as opposed to...
They are for entertainment purposes only. However, they do have major aspects of what we do.
Right.
And it just, they have to make things happen or they have no ratings and they're gone.
Right.
You know, and always, at one point, years ago, I had a straight face-to-face talk with Jason from Ghost Hunters. We had an event. It was long, again, 13, 14 years ago. It was called TAPSCon. Mm-hmm. It was at the Bellevue Biltmore in Florida. And they basically said, or Jason basically said, he said, our first two episodes, or our first two seasons were our best. Mm-hmm. And I said, why is that? He goes, because that was our real evidence we've collected for years.
Okay. Right.
He said, then the show took over, and we have to do this, we have to make this happen, we have to do this, that, the other thing. You know, he said, I'm not upset at the networks, I understand why it is, but we're very proud of our first two seasons because it's our real live evidence from what we've collected. And they literally have, when they do one episode, there's like 20,000 hours of footage that they have to get in 45 minutes worth of, episode. But anyway, so lost track.
We've had a lot of people who have written books and then gone on to appear on shows like A Haunting.
Yes.
Some great people, by the way, and they go on the show and they get filmed doing their monologue about the books. Mm-hmm. Now they don't lie, of course. They're telling the truth, but what they don't realize is that the cable company is going to edit it.
Right.
And they're going to dramatize what's happening in the show itself. Like, they'll be like, oh, like the person will be speaking, oh, and some spooky things happen that night. And then we see the actress on the screen, like being lifted up, thrown against the wall or something. And the way they edit it, it really seems like the author who wrote the book is saying that's what happened.
Right.
But really, it's licensed.
And that specific scene that they're telling you now happened 3 days before where they're at in the movie.
Right.
Or in the episode, because they want to dramatize it and make you view.
When I approached these people to come on the show, they were very cautious and hesitant because they'd been burned so badly.
Right.
Because then the show's done, and then people in the paranormal community come out and accuse them of being frauds. And really, they didn't know what was going on. They just didn't.
They record, then they leave.
Yeah.
And whatever they do in the splicing room is what they do, and they don't see it till just like Brian Cano was telling me, I don't know, a couple years ago. He was at one of our events, Paranormal Information Association. It's a bunch of Florida teams get together, bring the paranormal community together, and have an awesome weekend. I'm one of the 5 teams that put it on, and now they're kind of changing, so I don't know if I'm even a part of it anymore. But anyway, I got my own stuff going on, so it's okay either way. And he basically was like, we were talking about a certain episode, and he's like, I didn't know that was going to happen until I watched it myself in my living room.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what the final's going to be. They don't. So after, we'll go back to the story now.
Yeah.
Because I'm bad like that. So after I saw the white figure to the right,
okay.
As soon as we saw that, I told Paul. Paul looked again. He's like, well, I don't see it. He's like, but I believe you. He goes, what's been going on is really awesome. Then out of nowhere, I'm sitting in a chair, mind you. My right shoulder, my shirt got tugged, and there was like a hand, like resting very lightly on the back of my arm.
Just kind of, yeah.
And Paul looked over. The hair was sticking up on my arms, and it was still there. It just sat there. It was there probably 2-3 minutes while we were talking. So then that's when me and Paul kind of put our minds together and said, look, this isn't this isn't an adult. Yeah, this isn't a soldier. This is a child looking for his mother.
Wow.
Out of all this, and we still, and like I said earlier, we don't know if it's a male or female. We didn't get that far in the investigation because we had to lock up and stuff. But basically, I left it in Paul's hands, and I told the spirit that was there. I said, Paul's here a lot more than I am. I'm from Florida. This is the first time I'm here.
Right.
I says, maybe you can continue communicating with Paul so we can get to the bottom of why you keep telling us about the apple tree out front, running, and then mommy. Like, maybe you're still looking for your mother, and you don't know your mother's gone. Or your mother, you don't know what happened to your mother. So, and that's kind of where we had to leave it. And then I thanked the spirit before I left, said, someone will be back to talk with you. Please continue communicating.
So you made it okay?
Yes.
So you had a child who was obviously anxious and nervous and shy or, cautious.
Don't know what's going on, exactly.
And they made a friend in you, and you made them feel better and helped them to connect to those who were going to come after.
Exactly.
That's incredible. That's definitely paranormal psychology.
Well, you need to. There's different ways to do it. I've been in the field long enough to know that just walking into a room, turning out the lights, you're going to get stuff. It's just... And in this field alone, I just wish all these people, and I'm not being negative about it, but all these people, I want to have a team. I just graduated. I got a camera and a recorder, and I'm now a paranormal team, and I'm going to go help families.
Right.
What they do is hurt families more than they do help, because they have no clue the right way to do it. And I say that in terms of there is really no right way and no wrong way, but there is a way that you need to go at things where you don't harm the cause that you're trying to do. Don't go and try to help a family and then never talk to the family again and never try to solve their issues. I have a case in Plant City, Florida. I've been dealing with the family for 12 years now. 12 years, the same family. We've investigated 6-7 times. And the last time I went to investigate was about a year ago. And they turned around and when we first met them, they had 2 young daughters. And the daughters were scared, frightened. So we call that an emergency case. Anytime a kid's involved, I don't care what we're doing, we're going to help the kids. So they would shoo the kids away. They couldn't be there for the investigation. Well, as years went on, the last time we were there, both daughters wanted to be there.
Okay.
They were old enough. We wanted to, test the waters. We literally were in their living room with the 2 daughters. I think there was 4 investigators, maybe 5. The mother. We had 13 devices laid out on the table for about an hour and a half. Anything we asked, the devices would all validate each other and go off on every question.
Nice.
Nonstop, and was communicating with us. And I think with me doing it so long, that the whole time we were there and didn't get much when we were doing the investigation, but we stuck with the family, it was derived around the kids. And now we brought the kids in the picture, and now it wanted to communicate because the kids were communicating with us, with them. And that's why we got such awesome evidence.
Could I ask your full name?
Yes, Christopher Gostkowski.
And what's the name of your paranormal group?
My paranormal group is P.R.O.O.F, Paranormal Research Organization of Florida. We're on Facebook, just under Paranormal Research Organization of Florida, .llc, I believe it is.
What areas
and
of
we have
Florida
a website.
do you cover?
All of Florida.
All of Florida.
We go anywhere. We've gone to Georgia. We go wherever someone needs help. We're also, which I'm proud of, we're also part of the paranormal clergy. We're one of the teams that go in last resort to say they need clergy help. They don't. I'm not saying they have an exorcism. They have a demon. I'm not saying that.
But a blessing or something.
But if they need something, they'll call us. We're one of the teams that goes, does the final investigation, gives the report to the paranormal clergy itself. Rich Valdez is the main guy I go to, who's a demonologist. And then they pass it on to the clergy themselves, and then they say, okay, it looks like we need some kind of, they need some kind of help, and then they turn around and they send the proper people to do it. My team will not go in. We won't do cleansings. We go in. We're scientific based.
Right.
We get the scientific hard facts. Then we turn around and then we say, okay, this is what's going on. Who can we call that's, I can't say an expert, but that's been doing that certain part of the field longer, the longest, that we trust, that's been around, that we know helps people. Then we'll call them and bring them in. We don't try to do stuff we can't do or say that we can do. We don't go in and cross people over. We don't do none of that. And I'm all into the psychic side. I have a great psychic. His name's Ben Hall. I just send him a picture of the front of the building, and he's usually about 89% right on what's going to happen after the investigation's over. We do the review. I take his audio recorder or his letter that he writes me. After I review the evidence, I take that, I open it up, and we're about a 98% rate as to how on he is.
Very nice.
To what's going on. As far as psychics go, I believe in them, but I know there's a lot that are full of crap.
Yeah, everyone has a motive.
And they do.
Yeah.
They do. In a situation like that, we make sure they get the right help for the situation they need. And half the time, it's not paranormal at all. More than half the time, it's usually the family causing bad and negative energy amongst themselves that are giving them their issues.
Right. Right.
And then in turn, we'll go in. They'll say, "Oh, this is going on. My son can't do this." I had one case. We came in. The son was going crazy. He was screaming at night, running out of his room. And come to find out, just on our initial walkthrough of the house, the family didn't realize that his bed, or they just weren't thinking, but his bed, the headboard of his bed, was against the wall, right behind the electrical box. And the electrical box was putting off such EMF.
Right.
It was causing him to see things, causing him nightmares, not feeling good, dizziness. We told the family, we said, here's what you need to do. We're still going to finish the investigation like we told you, but I'm telling you, the issue is this electrical box. I said, you need to move the bed away from there. You need to call in the electric company, have them shield the wires, shield the box. I said, and move him away. 2 weeks later, they called after they did all the shielding and everything. They said, we have no problems. Again, thank you so much.
Excellent.
So it's a matter, it's not just because we're paranormal. You got to look at all the aspects. You just don't go in thinking there's a ghost.
Right. You go in without an opinion.
I go in and I debunk what they tell me. I don't believe what people tell me. I have to be there and physically see what's going on beforehand. I'm not calling them a liar.
Right.
But yet, until I know, I take everything with a grain of salt.
very Sherlock Holmes-like.
Yeah.
And you go in and just start removing false theories. I like that a lot. And I like how you're not just about ghosts, you're about anything that can't be explained, and you go in there and find some sort of remedy to help. I like that, yeah. So
that's the problem with, like I said earlier, that these teams, they get a camera, they get a recorder, and they think they're ghost hunters. And you're going to do more work or more harm to these families. If you're going to go, even going on in a cemetery, whatever, to have fun, another thing, if you're going to do that, rule of thumb, and so you don't make the paranormal community look bad, no matter where you go, get permission to where you're at.
Right.
There's too many people going in that, this is Florida I'm talking about. We're in Pennsylvania. I don't know if it's going on here, but I'm sure it is.
It's happening here.
They go into the cemeteries, they steal the headstones, they break headstones. It makes us look bad for people like that. So always have permission, always know, that you're allowed to be there, and always leave the place cleaner than when you got there.
Right.
You don't leave it a mess. You don't just leave whatever behind. Pick your garbage up, clean up. The paranormal community gets enough in society today as far as, people don't even like the word paranormal.
Yeah.
But it has been opened up thanks to shows like Ghost Hunter that got us out there for people to not be so afraid.
It's definitely become a market.
Yeah.
You go to Gettysburg, it's ghost town.
Yeah.
It is a it is a business out there. Because that's Gettysburg. There are so many places like Selma and other museums that are finding a new way to create revenue and interest.
Yep.
And like we're talking to Katrina Weidman about that at Paranormal Lockdown, about how a lot of times the paranormal sector of things can become a great way for historical societies to function and survive into a world where funding is dwindling.
Yeah. And the thing is you bring up a good point there, is I'm tired. My daughter's 16. Okay. Every time you turn around, we're knocking this place down for housing.
Yeah.
We're knocking this place down for housing. All these historical buildings, I want my daughter to grow up, her kids to see where we got to at that point in our life. What happened before then? How did we get here? All these buildings just knocking. I try to save and help any location that's in trouble, that's in need, so they don't close. So we can continue our research as a paranormal field, so everyone can go. What really needs to happen is there needs to be a database at every location that everyone that investigates it puts in their findings.
That's a great idea.
And then if my team goes in, we were here 6 hours, this is what we found in this room. Then the next team comes, boom. Then a month later, it all gets compiled. Then whoever comes the next time can say, okay, this happened here. So the field can grow and try to learn. Well, if this is all happening in the same place, we can key on this. And then, of course, new tools need to come out. Nothing against the tools we use, but a K2, we've been using them for 10 years. It's gotten us nowhere.
Okay.
It's literally got like a K2.
What's a K2?
It show EMF readings.
Yeah, okay.
We need to start stepping outside the box. And that's why one of the main shows I like, and a lot of people kind of give them grief, is Ghost Asylum.
Okay.
They make these crazy-ass contraptions, crazy butt contraptions.
You're fine.
Whatever. But the whole point is, they don't have blinders on with the tools that we have. They're stepping outside the box, trying to figure new ways out to detect what a spirit is, what a ghost is. None of us know.
Yeah.
Yes. So these devices, people laugh, but you know what? They're at least stepping outside the box. The Tennessee Wraith Chasers, they're awesome. We've met them personally. They've signed some stuff for us to donate for PKC.
Very nice.
But it's just and I told them to their face, I said, I'm glad you guys are doing it because you're stepping outside the box and not going with the norm. You're making new things, and we're trying new avenues to get to them. And without these buildings, we can't continue to do that.
So yeah, preserve history so we can understand the afterlife.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. I like that a lot. It's and it is very interesting. Now, so it sounds like you feel that a place that is older, that has more history, is more likely to be haunted.
I would say yes, because of the activities that have gone on.
Okay.
But I can walk out my front door or out in this parking lot or go down to this building I'm looking at out the window. There's spirit everywhere. It's just a matter of how. And it's not just at night. You can get spirit all day long. I'm going to go down to the basement a little bit and see if I can come up with anything or get any more activity.
Mhm.
The light doesn't change. It's the whole spook factor, and everyone thinks you have to do it at night.
Right.
No. It's 24/7, nonstop. The same spirits that are there last night are going to be there during the day. They don't hide and come out at night.
Right. Okay.
It's not the freaks come out at night, you know? So, and people just know that you can do it during the day. If you got an awesome location that's only open during the day and you can get there, go. Don't cry and be upset you can't do it at night. It doesn't matter.
Excellent. So we have been talking a lot about, one thing that fascinates us is the concept of a demonic haunting. And the more we talk to ghost hunters, the more they say that either they've never encountered a demonic haunting, or at least they may have encountered a few signs or traces of one, but really it's been so popularized by television that now ghost hunters, new ones like you were talking about, are going in and instantly telling families, oh, that's a demon. You have a demon in your house, get out, sell your house, lose your bank account, go out in the street, but you have to escape this demon. Now, have you ever encountered anything that you would consider an inhuman or a demonic dark presence?
I would say in almost 19 years, I've had 2 possible negative cases.
Okay.
I will not say demonic, because a lot of times people get scratched and they got the 3 scratches,
Right,
and
the 3 scratches.
oh, a demon got me.
Mhm.
It's like, no, think about it. If you're dead, you're not here in the physical form. Okay, someone's trying to talk to you. What are you going to try to do? Think what humans do.
Right, okay.
You try to communicate with that person in some way. So if all you can do is reach out and you scratch them, hello, I'm here. I want to communicate with you. It doesn't mean they're a demon. It doesn't mean they're the devil. They got horns that are going to chase you down the stairs. It doesn't mean that.
Right.
So I've had 2 cases, and I believe the 2 cases were connected because I believe it went home with one of my investigators.
Okay, we've heard of that, yeah.
We had a incubus.
Oh my.
At a lady's house. And she was like, I got sleep paralysis, I can't move in bed, I'm getting touched all over.
Cheeky ghost.
And the funny thing was, I had no clue of incubus itself. I've heard of them and whatever, but I had a book that had, it was like demons and that's known in history. And she basically came out and gave us a perfect description of what she sees at night. I flipped through the book because we took a break, so I'm like, let me just look at the book. I just happen to have the book because I just got it. I can't remember the author, but it was a soft cover. And I'm flipping through, and she was kind of sitting next to me. We were talking, and I opened to a page, and her face turned white, and she's like, "That's it."
Wow.
I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And it was the title was Incubus.
Incubus, okay. And for our listeners, what is an incubus?
It basically wants sexual favors. It wants to rape you. It wants to attack you.
That's a special kind of horror.
Oh yeah, it is. She was getting touched at night. She was, like I said, sleep paralysis. She couldn't move. It'd sit on her chest. She couldn't breathe. And it'd do whatever they wanted. It was like more. It's more in the sexual side of things.
I understand. Yeah.
And then there's a succubus, which does it for males.
Okay.
Incubus, succubus. But then the next time we had an investigation, one of my investigators was like, out of nowhere, we were using the Kinect, with the stick figures that you can see. And out of nowhere, we're facing one way, and he turned his head, and with the Kinect, it was crawling up the wall behind us. And it was in the same shape, same design as the incubus and we didn't even really encounter the incubus at the case beforehand. That's just what she was saying, and she freaked out. So actually, I was still doing research to go back to the case to and then see who we could get to help.
It almost sounds like an infestation, like a wasp nest or something.
Right.
Wow.
But then the next time we went ahead and did that, and then we saw that. So that's the only 2 cases that we had that I think may have been something towards demonic, but I can't say it was. Again, it could be just like the scratch saying, "Hello, I'm here. I'm trying to communicate with you."
Or maybe
but
just
no one's ever been, violently harmed, and that's 19 years.
Right, so no Amityville cases,
No.
basically. Yeah,
No.
and if you look at...
And Amityville, I have no issues with that either. What happened. I mean, I know the physical evidence there. I don't care what anyone says. I know a friend of mine, Tim Yancey, actually has all the rights to the Amityville now. It was given to him by George Lutz.
Okay.
He hand over all the tapes and stuff, and he'll do some radio stuff with the original tapes that George Lutz did. And he's a firm believer of the Amityville and what happened there, and I believe him. Some of his lectures he's put, they're like spot on.
Yeah, right.
So it's not
the book itself. Like I've always been with the belief that the family's definitely encountered something, but the book itself, as my primary role is as a fiction author, and you learn drama, you learn beginning, middle, end, you learn how to climax a plot, you learn how resolution, and if you read the book itself, it reads just like a fiction novel.
Right.
Beginning, middle, you can see things escalating. And another thing I've learned talking to such learned paranormal scholars as yourself is that these things don't happen like a story. It's just like life. There is no climax. There is no beginning, middle, end.
It's like an old picture book.
Yeah, you can go for 6 months and there'll be nothing.
Yep.
And then you'll come down one day and all the cabinet doors will be open.
Yep.
Or a door will slam and you'll hear the bumps and then nothing. And then it'll get really bad. And then it'll be calm for 4 months. There is no build-up.
And if you go back, if you've been in a place for 3-4 months and you go back and then you go, well, what happened today that didn't happen the last 3 months? So that's why you have to, as a researcher, you have to have good notes. You have to know what's going on. You have to mark all your audio and be like, this happened at this time, or I'm doing this investigation on this day. In the living room, this happened. So if something happens, you're like, wait, okay, 3 months ago, the same thing happened. So what did we do different today than we haven't done in the past? And that will help us move the field forward by kind of pinpointing what goes on to trigger these things.
So yeah, that's what I'm really liking talking to you is you're more like a chemist. You're like a scientist who's not just observing phenomenon, but you're finding different paradigms, process, stimuli to stimulate a paranormal response. I like that. And you're figuring out new ways to interact and communicate. And it sounds like every ghost you encountered is different and has its own unique responses.
Right,
to different stimuli.
And that's why when you do it, you have to be there for a period of time. 6 hours is not enough time to do anything. These events are awesome because it brings people to them, but to have an investigation from 9 to 12 at night, what you get is awesome if you get anything at all. But then where do you go from there? And then you have 20 people trampling through one building.
Right.
How do you know it's not cross-contamination? How do you know? You don't. Because unfortunately in this world, we all know not everyone's honest. So you hear noise. I didn't do it. You ask, did you do it? They say no. But how do we really know if that footage that we got is true? Unless you're there with your specific team or there's only 2 people and you're there for a period of time, days, months, weeks.
And in the end, all we have is the word of that team.
Exactly.
So their credibility is very important.
That's just like I said, my camera was facing the other way. I saw that clear or that white, like smoky white figure in the dark.
Yeah.
When the spirit, male or female, not sure, the little kid said, "Mommy." As soon as I looked to the right, I seen that shape. I seen it.
Yeah.
I can tell you till I'm blue in the face I seen it. But do I have proof? No.
Yeah.
But I know what I saw.
And on the show, on What Are You Afraid Of, we're more about the story.
Right.
We love the pictures, we love all that, but we don't seek to prove or disprove. And we're just here to let you tell your story. That's why we have a mix of fiction and nonfiction, though we will make sure you know the difference. Like, this is nonfiction, this is a fiction author coming up, or a performer. But yeah, these are incredible stories, and we really appreciate your time talking to us.
Not a problem.
Thank you, Christopher Gostkowski.
Not a problem.
And we are What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show on Parax Radio at 9 p.m. on Friday nights Eastern Standard Time. And we are available on all major podcast services. If we're not on that service, they don't deserve us. And just to let you know, I've been hanging out in the room with Dark Whimsy Photo Art by Brenda Conrad. And she's got some wonderful photos. I know I talked about her before, but
she's been stuck listening to everybody, too.
Apparently, she's enjoying that part. Though, yeah, but she's got some wonderful art here. I picked up a print of her yesterday, and she wanted to give it. She gave me a battery. In fact, we're recording this courtesy of Dark Whimsy, brought to you by Dark Whimsy Photo Art. And I went to buy a small print yesterday. I really like the cemetery print. Maybe I can take a picture and put it up on the show. And she was just going to give it to me. And I said, no, I got to give you $1 because artists need to be paid for their work. You know,
it's time and effort.
Yeah, I wish I could buy more. You know, it's just I was hoping to sell some more books and then I would go shopping. You know, we'll see what happens. But it's wonderful stuff, and it's cool sharing a room with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we also have Dead Is Not the End, ITC services. They've got some cool t-shirts. We'll catch up with them later. T. Fox Dunham over at Selma Paranormal, the First Expo in Norristown here at Selma Mansion, hanging out with my books, talking to myself at this moment. Malcolm's here, and Phil is on his way. Yesterday we had P.T. Kasak, and she stopped up today, and we'll be here talking to psychics, ghost hunters, and lots of interesting people.
I just graduated, I got a camera and a recorder, and I'm now a paranormal team, and I'm going to go help families.
T. Fox Dunham lives in Philadelphia with his wife Allison. He's a lymphoma survivor, cancer patient, modern bard, and historian. His first book, The Street Martyr, was published by Gutter Books. A major motion picture based on the book is being produced by Throughline Films. Destroying the Tangible Illusion of Reality or Searching for Andy Kaufman, a book about what it's like to be dying of cancer, was recently released from Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, and Fox has a story in the next Stargate anthology from MGM and Fandemonium Books, Points of Origin. Fox is an active member of the Horror Writers Association, and he's had published hundreds of short stories and articles. His motto is Wrecking Civilization, one story at a time.
Phil Thomas is an author and screenwriter from the suburbs of Philadelphia. His screenplays have been produced into feature films False Face and Always from Darkness, and are available in major retailers such as Best Buy and Target, as well as availability on Netflix and Amazon On Demand. His short films can be viewed on his YouTube channel, Film Zero Presents. He is a member of the International Association of Professional Writers and Editors, and he currently writes for Cultured Vultures, Game Skinny, and BloodyDisgusting.com. His first novel, The Poe Predicament, is being published in 2018 by Caliburn Press.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.